So, Turner, you know how they did the amalgams
Yes.
between Marvel and DC? You know, you got your Spider-Boy, Superboy and Spider-Man, Super Soldier, Superman and Captain America. How about Ka-Zar and Captain Marvel, Shazam? They would become Ka-Zam, the rapping genie with attitude.
Nice.
Yes.
Only if Shaquille O'Neal agrees to come back and play.
Yes. Somehow these two white guys combine to form a large black man.
Well, because the black man has the power and strength of two normal white guys.
That's true. White men can't jump.
No, they can't.
Oh, and that also gets me thinking. They should have. Do you ever see Shaq Fu, the video game? It's a tournament fighter with Shaq as one of the main characters.
Nice.
But I'm thinking we have an all Shaq Fu, where it's like Ka-Zam, Steel.
Steel was good.
So we have early career Shaquille O'Neal on the Magic.
Yep.
Lakers Shaquille O'Neal when he had like hair
And
sometimes.
he couldn't make a free throw.
Fat Celtics Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Remember he was like, oh, and he's like, oh, it's made my career. And of course, Icy Hot Shaquille O'Neal,
Oh, yeah.
whose superpower is that he's immune to pain because he has Icy Hot. Shaq. Hello and welcome to the WIP, the What If podcast that's a work in progress. I am your host, the Mammoth of Might, the Slim James, joined by my man, the Velociraptor of Valor, the franchise.
I like it.
And, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the affair, we need to take care of some business first. Mostly a pointless movie discussion.
Pointless.
Yes. So, Ant-Man apparently had its trailer drop.
Yeah, well, I had that tiny ant-sized trailer drop that I don't think anyone really cared about because they knew the real one was coming out.
Yes. I don't watch trailers because they're superhero movies. We know the good guy's going to win in the end. Yeah. And and I already know what most of the characters are. So, like, I want some stuff to be surprised, like who pops up and what have you. So I just tend to avoid.
Yeah, I only watched the trailer once as sort of this looks interesting, and then I didn't try to get too much into it. Same reason as you.
I try to keep myself out of the loop with these discussions because, I don't know, I'd really like to have at least some sort of semblance of surprise when I go to the movie theater. Like, oh my goodness, Stingray showed up.
Oh.
Machine Man is in the background.
Not that it's like a good surprise, but at least it's a surprise.
Yes, apparently, what's his name? Magic Mike there hinted that there'd be a Gambit movie in 2016.
Tating all over your or chanting all over your Tatum.
Yes, take it on the chin.
Yeah, Gambit standalone movie.
I don't know, man. It'll either be awesome or more likely.
I'm guessing it'll go like Wolverine Origins, where it's like, oh, cool idea.
No.
Horrible, just horrible.
But didn't Wolverine Origins have Gambit in it? So
Yes.
So it's got to be better than that, right?
We'll see.
Apparently, Agent Carter started airing. Haven't watched any of it.
No, I haven't watched any of that. I mean,
My Tuesdays are for New Girl and Parks and Rec. So.
Well, I saw at the beginning of S.H.I.E.L.D., since I'm trying to get caught up on that, in the first episode they have Agent Carter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ooh, that looks like it wouldn't be interesting. Because it's World War II and you know how it ends. Again.
Yeah. She found S.H.I.E.L.D. and she lives because we see her die in Captain America.
Right.
So all of her in peril is for naught.
It's not like she gets disfigured or blown apart. No.
It does have primetime Dum Dum Dugan. Which is nothing you would ever think you would see. Growing up as a kid, you're like, oh man, well maybe one day they'll make movies. One day they'll have TV shows. Never did you think, Dum Dum Dugan, he's going to be a prominent part.
Breakout star. What I'm saying is, where's Gabriel Jones?
Where's George Washington Bridge? He should be part of the X-Men movies. Where's my GW Bridge solo movie?
I'm pretty sure he's too tied to the Punisher to be in those areas for...
His action figure was an X-Force action figure from Toy Biz in the early 90s.
Well, that's right, I guess.
He is X-Men.
Cable and whatnot.
But as far as Ant-Man is concerned, he looks like a VR trooper.
Yes. Yes, he does. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah, it's a little too... Even almost like Halo-esque, just...
Yeah, but and then again, a guy in a spandex leotard with a big silver ball helmet might be a little silly too.
Right, but I think they did a better job with this than way back when in Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they did the Green Goblin, and instead of a realistic-looking face mask, it was robotic
Yes.
awfulness.
What about the new Goblin with Harry Osborn as a snowboarding guy with a paintball mask on in Spider-Man 3? Yeah, that's right. He was in that movie. Never mind the other two villains that we're having to deal with, and the black costume, and Gwen Stacy, and the Mary Jane thing.
Yeah,
the fact that Sandman killed Uncle Ben.
Spider-Man 3 is just a train wreck.
Yep.
From the minute you hear that Eric Foreman is going to be Venom, the whole thing just gone.
It might have worked if it was just Venom and he was given time to be actually like Peter Parker, but a dick. Instead of being a big bulky guy who's the complete opposite, he's like the same but an opposite personality. But having said that, like I said, there's 6 other storylines going on, so it's just Eric Foreman as Venom.
Including the storyline where Spider-Man has to dance.
Oh yeah.
Can't forget
when
that
Spider-Man gets his groove back. So, we're recording on Martin Luther King Day. And with that in mind, we're featuring the first black superhero. The original, the Black Knight.
We're not talking about Martin Lawrence.
No.
No.
Yes. The Black Knight is not black at all. In fact, he's one of the whitest, having his origins steeped in Arthurian lore, which is one of the tenets of white culture, along with mayonnaise and, I don't know, Billy Ray Cyrus.
And were there no black people around in King Arthur's time? I mean, the Romans sort of moved across, and wouldn't they have
brought some, I don't know.
Be migrating?
Migrating?
Not migrating herds, but just like, as people go, and they would all move up there, and there could have been an actual Black Knight.
Well, that would be awesome if the Black Knight actually was black, and that's like his thing. He's the one black guy, and so like he faces racial persecution and being an awesome adventurer. But this is just a white guy.
He can slay dragons, but he can't slay the hatred in men's hearts.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But it's not.
No. The Black Knight first appeared in Black Knight #1 in 1955, a comic that I happen to have a crappy copy of, getting it for only $40 off eBay. It's in bad condition. Also, no demand for it. Nobody wants these things. I've seen other 50s Black Knights, because there's only 5 of them, and it's gone, been relisted hundreds of times at this point, because nobody wants it.
Well, until the Black Knight comes back as a movie.
Yeah,
Black
right.
Knight 2, Blacker Knight.
Sir Percy of Scandia is the original Black Knight's real name. He is, of course, a legit Knight of the Round Table, or at least the Black Knight is. I got the collected 5 issues in a Marvel Masterworks of the Black Knight, because I'm sort of a Black Knight nerd. It's it's my thing.
And only your thing. There's
Pretty
no one
much.
else in the world. Black Knight is their thing.
Exactly. So I do have the very first appearance, and I got this Marvel Masterworks thing, so I could read all of them without having to spend hundreds of dollars to get comics I don't actually want, and might not actually be able to read. I can't look at that Black Knight #1 because it'll disintegrate in my hands. Sir Percy plays the fop. He says,
I love that expression, playing the fop.
Battle makes him nauseous. He instead just sits around playing his lute for Lady Rosamund. And
It's a lute player. Right?
Yep. And the Black Knight 50s tales are actually, pretty decent. It's at least partially written in parts by Stan Lee, and the first few issues at least are illustrated by Joe Maneely, who is someone I've never heard of. But it's very straightforward, sort of clean. It gets the job done. It's not too cartoony. Good perspective. There's no like weird angled arms or anything.
That's good.
It sort of fits that classical motif.
But all the 50s ones, they're all set back in King Arthur's time. There's none in the 50s.
No.
50s. Okay.
No, he's not, the Atomic Black Knight, which is an amalgam character, by the way. The Atomic Knight and Black Knight.
I don't have that one.
It's not his own book. He's mentioned in Speed Demon.
I have that one.
Yeah, so just look for him. He's creeping around there. Yeah, that's how much of a Black Knight nerd I am. I go Googling all this stuff, and so basically the 50s are they're like short stories, like 5-6 page tales. Sir Percy, oh my God, I'm too scared of battle. I'm just gonna go stand over here now. Oh, here's the Black Knight, and he's gonna fight off. His arch nemesis is Mordred, who is
Arthur's arch nemesis.
Well, yes, but Mordred's still in Arthur's court at this point. He's just hanging around, but he's plotting against him. but there's no evidence against him, so...
Black Knight's trying to stop him.
Yes, and the Black Knight has an ebony blade, which may or may not be made of meteor. The only thing that can hurt it is other ebony blades, of which Mordred eventually gains one.
How much blacker can you be?
An ebony?
Ebony blade.
The answer is none. Okay. None more black.
He's as black as it can be.
And yeah, he's pals with Merlin. Merlin basically says, hey, you should be Black Knight now. And he's like, okay.
So like, his qualifications before becoming Black Knight, was he still the lute player that fought? And he's just like, hey.
Well, the thing is, he's secretly badass, but he has to play the fop. So he wasn't a fop even then, before.
He was really badass?
Yes.
Okay.
He had the inner badassness.
Did he ever meet time-traveling Tony Stark? When he went back to the days of King Arthur? In the 1950s?
I don't think so, no.
That would have been super time travel since Iron Man didn't exist yet.
Whoa. Yes, they knew ahead of time that they'd have Iron Man and that he would travel back in time.
In like the 1980s.
Whoa. So, the Black Knight, it lasted 5 issues because the 50s were dire times for comics.
Yeah.
So even though they're not bad by any means, it just wasn't going to take hold. And that's a theme that repeats itself throughout the history of the Black Knight. Not bad, just doesn't take hold ever. So the Black Knight is resurrected as a broke-ass villain with a power lance, an energy stick.
I do remember that.
And he died after he fell off. It's either a flying horse or like a scooter thing.
I remember him having a flying horse.
I think he might have had a more nefarious flying horse. So he broke his neck.
Yeah.
And then he gave the Black Knight mantle to Dane Whitman.
After he broke his neck?
You take this. Go on. No, that's the blue blazer, not the Black Knight.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, come on. And both are apparently descendants of Sir Percy.
Okay. Well, I mean, if one isn't Dane his nephew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it could have been through marriage, you know.
Yeah.
So Black Knight has been a stalwart avenger and defender throughout the years, but he just seems to hang around and not do much.
I can actually remember when I read the Avengers back in the 90s, there was a part where he came up and I was really unimpressed. I mean, he seemed like sort of a broke Captain America, only he had a sword instead of a shield. Never did anything that stood out. Never was like, hey, look at Black Knight saved the day. It's always, oh look, he's punching that guy in the face while something else is happening.
Yeah, he was like part of the very terrible period of the Avengers where it was like Moondragon,
Gilgamesh,
the aforementioned Stingray, like Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was like, why or who? And even then, he still couldn't get traction.
Star Fox.
Yes, Star Fox, Carfax. Unless there's something that slipped under my radar, he's never had a solo series. Like you would think, like sometime in the 70s, they just would have thrown something at him because it seemed like everyone got a solo series in the 70s.
Dazzler, Wonder Man,
Iron Man or Iron Fist, Power Man, Man Thing. Man Thing got multiple series, and yet Black Knight's like, guys, seriously.
Not even when like DC was doing their Camelot 3000, Marvel wasn't like, hey, we can come back with this.
Well, here's the thing. I guess like Black Knight, he doesn't have a classic arch nemesis. There's Mordred, but that's sort of like Arthurian legend. It's not like his own villain that was created for him.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have a Mandarin or a Tangerine. There was a Dragon Man. Can't he have his own Dragon Man?
Yeah. Although Dragon Man's really an android.
Well, it doesn't matter. He needs something. Some sort of conjurer, a German wizard or something.
Definitely could do the magic angle, because Merlin.
Yeah, and apparently he hung out with Doctor Strange once. Doctor Strange 178. I think I want to buy that, but I just haven't got around to it. It's when he's in his blue costume period.
Oh, with the full face?
Yes, in his blue jumper.
Awful.
Yeah.
Lots of awful stuff today.
Yeah, but he did have his own miniseries, The Black Knight did. The Black Knight has a blood curse. Is it Parkinson's? I don't know, but it's causing paralysis.
Oh.
So somehow he trades places in time with Sir Percy, but turns his current body to stone.
So is Sir Percy trapped in the stone body?
Yes. And then Dane is in Sir Percy's body.
But back in the time.
Yes. So in the past, Dane, in Sir Percy's body, defeats the curse, and Sir Percy's spirit, his current dead spirit, not the living spirit he traded places with, is merged with the ebony blade, making it even more powerful.
So now in current time, his blade has Sir Percy inside of it?
Yes. But apparently, it then turns into a laser blade.
Oh.
Because there was the 90s where he had a sweet leather jacket and was a member of Ultra Force.
Well, that happens.
He was the gatekeeper to the Ultra Universe, or the Ultraverse.
Really?
Oh yeah, he could bring in Prime and Nightman or whatever. Nightman he had like blue cape with like gray and like a red crescent moon.
I have no idea.
He had his own TV series that was syndicated. He had powers at night, and that's it.
Huh. Sort of like Sleepwalker?
Yes.
Powers when the guy was sleeping?
Yes, or like maybe Moon Knight, but more often.
Does Moon Knight only have powers sometimes?
I thought his waxed and waned as the moons do.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. So yeah, he was also a member of Ultra Force, leather jacket, laser sword, making him even lamer. I think this is where he had like a flying robotic scooter rather than an actual horse.
God, that's just horrible.
So, where is he now? Because I've dropped off the past like 20 years from the 90s.
Where is he now?
Apparently, according to Marvel.wikia and other stuff, he's kind of crazy because the Ebony Blade maybe has a curse.
Oh, as it should.
Yes. And he is apparently leading something called Euroforce, which is the JLE of Marvel.
Who else is in there? Like people from MI6 maybe? Captain Britain's way better.
I don't know.
Last name.
I looked up Euroforce. Apparently their first appearance was like a Italian-only release or something, so you know it's good.
Euroforce.
I know, I've never heard this, and it's around since 1996.
Wow. Like I know the People's Liberation Army out of China or something, like their super team.
Are you sure you're not confusing like geopolitical events with
Sometimes
the Democratic People of Korea?
No, but Euro. Yeah, because I only know a few that are like based in Britain. Like there's Pete Wisdom, who has like Energy Knives.
I feel like Euroforce was one of those things that they just ended the series and didn't really like get rid of all of them, so they technically still exist. And they came back and they're like, oh, we'll stick Black Knight with you, because Knight's Europe, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense, sort of.
I think they're really missing a trick on the Black Knight. I feel like you could get something out of, Arthurian tales.
You could, especially, it's been a long time, or at least in recent memory, of like a good Arthurian movie coming out.
Yes.
That hasn't been remade too much.
You know who Black Knight's enemy could be? The Crusader. Because he has.
Devil villain?
Well, he's a Thor villain. He called Thor a pagan god and was a devout Christian who had a Christian sword.
So if the swords clash.
Exactly. Who knows what happens? The power of Christ compels you. Or is it Merlin's Wiccan magic? Oh my god.
I don't know, baby. Get a bunch of angry letters.
Yeah. So, there are other versions of the Black Knight. Copious amounts, actually.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was looking up the Euro Crash Force. One of the current members' name is Baby Killer. So there's that for you.
Is it Baby Killer all one word, or is he a baby killer?
There's a space.
So he could be a killer that's a baby.
Baby Killer was a 6-year-old Polish general whose consciousness was transferred to a younger clone body. No reason why he's called Baby Killer. I guess he really just likes killing babies.
So yeah, there are other versions of the Black Knight. Copious amounts. There's the ultimate version. He's a Navy SEAL with some sweet robot armor. Yeah. Eobar Garrington, the 12th century part of the Black Knight Exodus one-shot where he fights Apocalypse. Yeah, so apparently there are other Black Knights throughout history.
Are they all using the ebony blade?
I think so. I think the one thing about Black Knight is you see how interesting he is in other times rather than in current times, and you're like, I wish it could be that.
Well, yeah, because current times, unless you go 90s and give him laser swords, it's a sword.
Yeah.
And when you're fighting around in current day with a sword, no one really takes you seriously.
Yeah, exactly. There's also an Earth X Black Knight. He's Black Bolt's slightly less mute son. In that universe, Black Bolt is like the king of something.
No.
So they call him the Black Knight.
So he can talk a little bit?
Well, he uses his tuning fork to talk. Exactly.
Oh.
He sounds like what Claw is, probably.
Just a new sound. Bouncing all over everything.
There's also Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight.
Now that one I will admit I know a little bit more about.
Yes, it's just a flesh wound. He has superpowers because you can cut off his limbs and he's still sort of conscious throughout the whole thing.
Right, I mean,
and presumably he's still alive at the end. He just says, "Come back here."
Maybe he grows back his arms and legs. We don't know because we never see him again in the movie.
Exactly. The sequel, Monty Python and the Holy Grail 2.
Black Knight Boogaloo.
Yes.
Maybe he's really an immortal. And there's an immortal Black Knight throughout time.
Oh my God.
He keeps faking his own death by pretending to break his neck and then passing it on to a made-up nephew.
Yes.
Over and over.
So then, the last but not least, Martin Lawrence, The Black Knight, 2001 movie. I watched the trailer for it. Looks awful.
You've never seen the actual movie?
Why would I have seen the actual movie?
Well, I mean, you've read, what is it? Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court?
No, I read Damn Yankees.
Oh, well, this is basically that Mark Twain classic.
Uh-huh.
Martin Lawrence takes the place of a Connecticut Yankee. Because he's a Yankees fan, I think.
Scored a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Woo!
So you know it's going to be
Martin
good.
Lawrence's highest rating.
The Black Knight's influence on pop culture is sparse, outside of the aforementioned Monty Python and Martin Lawrence.
I'm pretty sure the Monty Python Black Knight's probably the most famous.
Yes.
If you ranked all three of them.
Yes. Our Marvel Black Knight, sparse cartoon appearances. He was called Blackie on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Firestar's like, "Oh, come on, Blackie." That seems racist. Even like this was 1981. You should still know better.
Well, did he wear like a full mask?
Well,
you see he was white?
yes, you could see he was white, and his costume was atrocious in there. He didn't have his front chest insignia, and his helmet was all yellow. Like they took like
Nova?
sorta. It's like and it had a face cowl thing.
Yeah.
Cut out. It was the like easiest thing they could draw, and they just like took the easiest way out.
All right, Blackie.
There he is. Here's a present from the girl you wanted to leave behind.
Sounds. A knight rescued by a woman.
We'll talk about how times have changed later on, Blackie. Come on.
Marvel seems intent on continuing to pump out media of all sorts. Netflix TV shows. I feel like that would be a good vehicle for Black Knight. Because you could get a little Arthurian here, a little modern day there.
Maybe they could do a whole series of like Marvel throughout time.
Whoa.
Like the History Channel on Marvel.
So yeah, like, you know, you could have we have our Defenders Netflix all stuff that's all coming out. We could have like a magic one when we were living in a post Doctor Strange world and magic is real.
Yeah.
So you get like Man-Thing.
Howard the Duck.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's not really magical. But
No.
close enough. Dr. Druid.
Yes, Dr. Druid and Black Knight's solo series. So, you know, I'm not one to do fantasy casting because I don't know a lot about movies. I watch some sometimes. My picks for fantasy casting in a Black Knight series are going to be very shallow.
Okay.
Tom Mison, the Ichabod Crane in the fantastic Sleepy Hollow Fox
The
TV
new one,
series.
the one that's on now.
Yes.
Yes, we watched some of that. And
It's better than you think. It's still not good, but
No.
you'd think it'd be the worst ever. But he is like one of the main reasons why it's watchable.
yeah, because I remember watching it. He seemed like the good actor that
Yes.
they spent all the money on, and then they hired everyone else. for
Yes,
movies.
that's why he'd be good in sort of like a comic book setting. He can say ridiculous things with a little bit of semblance of conviction.
Mhm.
Probably the British accent. They can just get away with anything and make it sound classy.
I'd say, just from the little I know about him, if we're talking about Dane Whitman and not Sir Percy.
Well, I'd cast him as Sir Percy.
Okay.
Because in my mind, this would be sort of a split tale where we're seeing the tales of Sir Percy leading up to
Nice.
where he dies or what have you.
Who would you have be Dane? Or would you not? Or would you be doing Percy to the villain?
Shoot, I don't know what his name is either.
Evil Black Knight.
Yeah, it's like Nathan Garrett or something.
Oh, okay.
No, we'd go to Dane because the villain's around for like 4 issues and then breaks his neck. Like,
But he's friends with like the Melter. You can sort of have him meeting and hanging out with Radioactive and the Melter. And who else is part of that little team up? I think
No.
there was one more guy.
but we'd see Sir Percy doing his Black Knight thing, leading up to him passing the mantle to Dane, and possibly his spirit guiding him because that's a thing in the Black Knight
Yeah.
tale. And because I'm lazy, I just put Tom Welling, Clark Kent, Smallville, as Dane.
Okay.
Because he's sort of bland, but could get the job done, which is Dane Whitman to a T.
I was thinking maybe like if they were trying to give Dane a bit more of a badass feel,
Mm-hmm.
have him be played by Rick Grimes, the guy who's doing Rick on The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
He's sort of, I mean, they look pretty much the same as sort of an average white guy, but
Mhm.
he's a leader. He's trying to inspire people. Black Knight never
Yeah.
actually does that, but
Yeah, that's the thing. I think what's also missing with Black Knight, besides a seminal villain, is like a strong characterization.
right.
Like-
What can you tell me about the character Dane?
Exactly. He has a sword, and his ancestor was interesting.
That's about it.
Yeah, like he, in my mind, like a good characterization to be if he was like burdened with responsibility, sort of like Spider-Man. Like he puts it all on himself, even when maybe he shouldn't. He like feels the weight of this legacy and stuff, and like he has a hard time coping with it,
Yeah.
you know. But instead, he's just like, "Hey guys, I'm also here.
I'll fight with you.
I'm Black Knight. I got a sword."
What's the symbol on his chest mean? Why is it a bird?
I don't know. That doesn't really come up. I think it's already there. Yeah, it's there in the 50s stuff. It's like a rare from the beginning, but it's never really it's not really explained. Maybe it's the crest of Scandia. You ever think of that?
Or maybe it was another time Monty Python, like Sir Percy was really super bothered.
Oh my god.
Because he was playing a cowardly fop.
Yes, and Sir Robin's not in the scene of the Black Knight.
He's just so angry at everyone making fun of him.
Oh, it all makes sense. So, all of this told, the Black Knight had his shining moment in a What If issue. Except it's not the current day Dane Whitman, of course.
Obviously.
It's What If starring Black Knight, Volume 2, number 97. Camelot Reborn. Alright, so What If 97? Written by James Felder, who wrote another What If, number 80, and also the Rise of Apocalypse Origin 4-parter, which the Giant owns, thanks in part to me. The artist is Leonardo Marco. He also drew the Archangel one-shot that the franchise furnished to me in black and white, Birds of Prey or something, Blaze of Glory.
I knew the art looked sort of familiar, flipping through that one,
Yeah.
never actually reading it.
Yeah, that Archangel one-shot is atrocious. It's very heavily bird-themed and not very interesting.
Oh, that's the biggest connection. An angel and birds.
They got wings.
Do they have a beak in it? Remember that X-Man who actually had a beak?
No, is that a thing? Are you
It is
just
a
making
thing, it's a
stuff?
real thing.
Are you thinking of Sauron?
No, I'm not. That's
Uh-huh.
jumping ahead.
Whoa, wait, whoa. So he also did What If 98 as well. It has I say his art has a good rough look, sort of, got some texture in there. It's not the 90s sort of anime, manga inspired cartoony stuff, which we'll get to later. It, has some guts to it, which you need for a tale like this. This is an alternate past story. What if Doctor Doom conquered Camelot? So our protagonist is Eric Garretson, spelled extra Old Englishy with E-I-R-I-K.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
I mean, did people ever even write back then?
I don't
That's
know.
how they spelled it.
He's Sir Percy's nephew and the chieftain of the tribe in Scandia.
Okay.
Because it's basically, been whittled down to a tribe because Doctor Doom is being a jerk and taking over Camelot.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So Doctor Doom's killed Sir Percy. Merlin, quote unquote, and a girl show up and tell them Doctor Doom intends on taking Scandia. So now is the time to fight. When I say Merlin, it turns out Merlin is Nathan Richards, Mr. Fantastic's time-traveling dad, who may or may not be Kang the Conqueror and the Pharaoh guy.
Yeah, I was always a little confused because they say they're sort of descendants of a Nathaniel Richards. Or is it this Nathaniel?
Because you're messing with time. Are there alternate timelines that he's leaping from?
Well, there is. I was rereading some more recent Fantastic Four, and they did a big Nathaniel Richards storyline where he got split off into the alternate dimensions, but then all of the Nathaniel Richards were in one place, and the Mortis came over and was like, there can only be one, so they had to kill each other. And only one...
It was Nathan Richards' tournament fighter?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nathan Combat! Oh, that's...
real.
Yeah.
That's...
Beak, is he like one of those between the years 2000 and 2010 characters? Because I was totally out of comics for that entire time.
Yeah, you know, I'm guessing he was one of those X-Men that was just, hey, he's there too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with mutants. They just, you need a new one, just draw it. You need to worry about an origin. He was born that way. So the girl with Merlin is Valeria. Valeria? I don't know. Doom and Morgan Le Fay's daughter.
Oh.
So, Dr. Doom.
Knocking boots.
Uh-huh. Is his junk like his face? Like, did he put the
is
loin?
he really scarred?
Did he put the chastity belt part of his armor on too quickly and just singe it? There's no time.
Picturing something sort of like from Robin Hood Men in Tights. That big, thick chastity belt that Marion wears. You know what I'm talking about?
I kind of remember. So, Scandia, the whole tribe, brings the fight to Doom, and Eric takes up the mantle of Black Knight. And he's looking all BA he's got big wings on his helmet, and much more. He's got red eyes. He's much more vicious looking.
Yeah. Oh, it fits the art. Very sort of demonic almost.
Yeah. I was wondering if Black Knight was like evil in this, but turns out no. He's just badass. In the ensuing battle with Doom, all of the Scandians perish except Black Knight. Oh, and I guess all of Doom's guys die too. So just everybody dies, but then the Black Knight's the last man standing.
Okay.
Much like Tim Allen. The show is atrocious. So Richards / Merlin and Valerian head towards the castle to find Dr. Doom's time platform, which is hanging out there.
Willy-nilly.
Well, that's how he got back there, I think. So Doom and Richards agree to work together to get back to the future. But bam, Richards tries to kill Dr. Doom with like an electric joy buzzer sort of thing. It's like, let's shake hands on it. Which is isn't that how Dr. Doom killed Mr. Fantastic when both of them died for a little bit? I remember a trading card where they were just like shaking hands and exploding. Like, do you think you're the Joker?
I mean, that sounds like something Doom and...
So Black Knight dramatically stabs Doom through the back after this, because he's lagging behind. They're doing their thing. He enters via stabbing in Dr. Doom's back.
Is it the art where like the blade never actually comes through his armor? It just sort of peaks, like when Elektra stabs people and like...
No.
Okay.
It goes through.
Good.
His metal doesn't bend around.
Well, you never know.
The ebony blade cuts through anything.
Even...
I wonder if it can adamantium.
Or vibranium.
Vibranium. Oh man, I don't know.
This is what type of metal? Is it Uru metal? Will it cut Thor's hammer?
It's a mystic metal. It might also be a mystic meteor metal.
So it could be vibranium.
Exactly.
Charged.
I don't know, man. And we need... Unfortunately, Black Knight's so lame, he doesn't get to have battles with cool people like Claw or Thor. Black Knight stabs Dr. Doom. Richard uses his dying energy to fix the time platform, because apparently he could do it on his own. I don't know why he needed Dr. Doom in the first place. He sends Eric back to the past to prevent Doom from conquering Camelot in the first place, thus giving us an alternate past future, which is their present. Overall, the art's good. Got a good tone to the story. Doesn't try to cram too much in there. There aren't like too many characters. You don't have like, oh, here's the alternate time traveling Avengers showing up to help as well.
I do like it at Dr. Doom because he has some pretty strong ties.
Yeah.
Just going back to the time.
It's pretty much just one climatic battle, and so it doesn't. It's part of these what ifs. Sometimes they try to cram too much in there, and it's just sort of like blah. But this, has some restraint, and the art isn't terrible.
I mean, it's definitely the most badass Black Knight I've ever seen.
Yes.
I actually read more about him than his own series.
Yeah, I think that's like why the Black Knight miniseries was just in Sir Percy's time. The ending's kind of bogus, because it plays with causality, gives you a feel good for such a downer of a story, because up to this point everybody died. But I'll give it a pass, and I'll give it a recommend. If you're into Black Knight, this is worth the $1.25 you'll pay for it.
So wait, Sir Percy, just now thinking, Was it really like Sir Percival? Was he supposed to be? Because Percival was a knight of the Round Table.
I don't know. My knowledge of knights stopped at Lancelot, Galahad. So, will Black Knight ever get out of his own way to be culturally relevant?
Well, I honestly don't know if he can be. I think he was one of those characters that was created and just
He's like I don't know, the Steve Blackman, the Gangrel, analogy, where it's like you have the in-ring skills to be so much more, but when a push comes to shove, you never catch on and you're just stuck.
The crowd just never gets behind
You're
you.
stuck on Sunday Night Heat. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way for him to be relevant these days.
The one thing he does have is that if Marvel's looking for, fodder for TV series, and this Netflix model proves successful and they can do those, this has its own sort of universe and aesthetic that you wouldn't see other places. It's not the grim city. It's not space. It's not the, we'll say, traditional superhero of the Avengers.
Right.
You could have something Arthurian with a sort of a fantasy element that they don't have a lot in Marvel. So that he could slip in just by being the default guy for that.
What year about is this sort of thing?
I'm not sure. It's like 432 or the 400s.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Because I mean, yeah, doing like a history sort of thing. I would have to say this should be, even as a TV show, maybe like a 1-season deal. There's not enough to stretch it on forever. Like build up to a big climatic battle or something.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if those Daredevil ones are going on forever, but yeah, this would definitely be more of like a mini series where they build up to Dane Knight getting the sword, possibly a few of his adventures, defeating some sort of time from the past. Let's say Mordred comes into the future or something, and then he's just floating around as a background character.
I mean, it would be interesting, not maybe going on as a television thing, but as a comic geek thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of see, trace the magical or mystic artifacts through Marvel history, from Sir Percy to the bad guy Garrett.
Yeah.
That's on 1,000 years in between.
Yeah, this sword, you could have the sword of the Black Knight, and it tells tales of people wielding this sword throughout time.
Is it stronger than Excalibur?
Well, him and King Arthur do fight side by side in the 50s ones.
Okay.
And it's Excalibur and the Ebony Blade side by side, the two mightiest swords. And we need to get the Crusader in there to see if Power of God is better than that Wiccan, godless pagan Merlin. So, while we're on the subject of Marvel D-listers that sort of appeared outside of normal comic continuity and were just brought into the fold, Ka-Zar.
Ka-Zar is mightier than any costume wearer.
Yeah, he started out as a pulp hero of the 1930s. There were one or two versions, and essentially they were like, hey, Tarzan's around, better rip that off.
Yeah. I mean,
So
you can just...
Yeah, you just look at him and you go, okay, that's blonde Tarzan. He re-debuted in X-Men number 10 in 1965.
Oh, that early in the X-Men.
Yeah, I didn't realize, but I think that was a Jack Kirby issue. I don't know. Kevin Plunder, hanging out in the Savage Land, getting boots airlifted to him. I remember that from a letter to Wizard magazine. They're like, why does Ka-Zar wear LL Bean boots? And they're like, he gets packages airlifted to the Savage Land.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
everyone knows where it is.
Amazon Prime, drones.
Even though to get to the Savage Land, you have to crash a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently these delivery drivers, they just know. Ka-Zar. So yeah, inexplicably, even he got his own solo series.
Well, I was actually going to say, I would rather read about him than the Black Knight.
Yeah, I think he had some stuff in Jungle Action in the 70s. Yeah, it was him or the Black Panther. How's that for racist? Jungle Action starring the Black Panther.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s too, where he was wearing his boots and stuff. And so that's where this What If spins off of. It's What If number 112 from Series 2. What If starring Ka-Zar, New York, the new Savage Land. No escape. And the cover just has him swinging all Tarzan-like into the mouth of a T-Rex. And in front of... I guess...
the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that is the Empire State Building. It just looks like multicolored sloshes. But I guess there's some fire and a green Empire State Building.
Is that supposed to be covered with plants?
Yes. Well, wouldn't you know, this story Kevin's bro, Parnival Plunder, is a germophobic technocrat, whatever that means, whose plan is to team up with Thanos to use the Terraformer, which is the thing that gives the Savage Land its jungliness, to transform New York into a jungle. I don't know why a germophobic technocrat is doing this with Thanos.
Wait, what does Thanos have?
Well, Thanos wants that Terraformer to... I don't know why he wants to quote-unquote destroy planets by making them into jungles, because there's still life on that planet.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Thanos is MO.
He's just a fan of dinosaurs. He just wishes it was damn dinosaurs instead. So, like...
Can't you just, like, wait a minute. This other Plunder, the person...
Parnival. It's not Percival of Scandia, it's Parnival of Plunder.
Parnival. I mean, Thanos can't just be like, you're dead?
Well, I don't think he has the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know why he would just blast him in the chest with laser beams, because I think that's one of his powers too.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's just an all-around guy that's capable of killing people.
Yeah.
Easily.
All this What If tale is spun off of an actual Ka-Zar storyline.
There was an actual Ka-Zar storyline in the 90s?
In that 90s series. So the resolution to that is Parnival and Kevin see the errors of Parnival sees the error of his ways, teams up with Ka-Zar, and they use the Plunder Medallion, which they both have two halves of, to fix it. I don't know. It's like makes a map to go into the center of the Terraformer.
It's like a yin. I'm just picturing like them forming a yin yang of two pieces.
I'm picturing the broken heart medallions you split with your best friend.
Awesome. Oh, those Plunder boys.
So in this universe, Parnival doesn't see the errors of his ways, and New York just stays jungly.
Oh, that's not the worst.
I know, but so Shanna The She-Devil is actually our main protagonist in this, and she's providing exposition. And she's like, oh my god, New York's jungly. She explains that it was okay for a little bit, but then these businessmen just go crazy. You know, his rations grow slim and trying to adapt to living in the jungle.
They would just kill dinosaurs and eat all the dinosaur meat?
As a guy who is tacitly a businessman or what have you, I would not be the first to be killing dinosaurs and eating the meat.
Alright, fair enough.
So, you know, she's like, I haven't seen Ka-Zar in a while. What happened? The Jungle Avengers show up to fight some guys.
Is the Black Panther part of that?
No.
Okay.
We have Iron Man, who is wielding Cap's shield and has like a cloak on.
Does he have any armor, or is he...
His face is exposed. He might be wearing some underneath. Hawkeye.
That
he's
makes
there.
sense. He could, Hawkeye could live in the jungle pretty well.
And some fire chick. She's not Firestar or any of the others. Her name's like Above Zero. Oh, Rogue is in these Avengers too. And Frank Castle as the Punisher with a red skull painted on his chest.
What would he be doing in the jungle?
I don't know. Yeah, he seems really out of place in this group. I think they just thought it would be cool.
Yeah. I must say on a side note, meaning the Punisher Max.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, like, the Punisher needs to always be Max, because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he needs to be pretty brutal
Yeah.
and just swearing.
This funny, like, cartoon guy going around not showing him killing people. No, not sure at all.
So the Jungle Avengers are there, and then there's also the Fantastic Duo, because it's implying that two of them died.
Who?
Not the Human Torch, because there's a flame signal up in there.
You don't see them, though?
No, he's just sort of,
screen.
yeah. It's like, oh hey, there they are, the Fantastic Duo are fighting guys. It's building this rich tapestry of this universe we're living in, Turner. I don't know why they still bother to call themselves Fantastic.
Well, maybe Mr. Fantastic, so that...
And he insists that they keep his name. It's not called the Human Torch Duo.
No.
It's Fantastic. My spaceship, I gave his powers. Me. So Ka-Zar finally shows up with Zabu.
Isn't that tiger Zabu the companion of the jungle lord Ka-Zar?
You mean the wild man from the jungle?
His skull on his head. It died.
Oh.
Uh-uh.
I thought he was going to be riding Zabu.
No, he's wearing Zabu. Yeah. Eventually, Ka-Zar and Parnival team up because Parnival doesn't like the jungle because he's a germaphobe and a technocrat.
Wait, who saw this coming?
I don't know. Then they do a simultaneous button push to destroy the terraformer with inside. So they sacrifice themselves.
That's the only way to blow this up?
Apparently, pressing two buttons at the same time. If Mr. Fantastic would get over here, he could just press both. And
Or he
then,
could invent a stick that had 2 prongs.
yeah. Yeah, you put it on one. Well, it needs to be simultaneous. That's right. You just toss it up, hope it lands perfectly on both, and just run out of there.
Whatever happened to just like strapping a bomb to it?
Uh,
That won't blow it up?
I don't know. This whole terraformer thing, it opens up a whole nother Pandora's box. Like, why doesn't Mr. Fantastic ever think, because he's a smart guy, he knows this stuff exists, take the terraformer, give it to one of Galactus's heralds. Then Galactus's heralds can make fake planets to, feed to Galactus every now and then.
Yeah, all those like dead planets.
Yeah.
We'll put a bunch of life on it.
Yep. And even if it starts to wither as you take the terraformer away, just get him in there real quick.
Come on,
Grab a quick snap.
It's hot.
Yeah. Shanna remains. She was like the third wheel and all that. She's like, no, guys, don't. There's got to be another way. And Ka-Zar was like, no, I'm going to do this. She's around to wonder, has all of Earth been terraformed? Has it not just been New York? Has Thanos done it to the entire universe? What is she going to do about it?
God,
Because
because
she is a jungle lady with bare feet. How's she going to hop on her spaceship?
she doesn't even have the LL Bean boots.
I know. She needs Mr. Fantastic to build her spaceship and do all the fighting for her.
That's sad. Just because she's a woman.
No, it's because she doesn't have a spaceship.
Oh, okay.
Overall, the story, I don't know, I put it a little boring, and it has what I was talking about before, where it's a lot of characters are sort of shoehorned in there to say, hey, look at these cool alternate universe versions of these guys. Aren't they neat? Look at them, look at them.
Well, I mean, like you said, they were trying to create that rich tapestry, but in 20 pages, it just doesn't work.
And, like, the existence of the Punisher on this Avengers team, like, where he wouldn't be a team player, especially in a jungle world. He would just start going around killing more people because... To what end?
Oh, it's easier now.
Yeah, I'll just kill dinosaurs and punish them. You ate my wife and kids.
Maybe in an alternate reality.
No, my God! What if the Punisher was a dinosaur? Is that what you're talking about, Turner?
He becomes Chris Pratt in the new Jurassic World.
It's all coming together. And yeah, the art is the weird, as I mentioned before, 90s sort of manga, cartoony, big-eyed, like exaggerated hands and feet.
Just crap.
Yeah, it looks like crap.
I mean, granted, it's a more consistent crap than I can draw. Because, I mean, it's 20 pages and you can tell that Ka-Zar is always Ka-Zar because he's drawn the same crappy way. So I'll give credit to the artist.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying, it's not, it's they're professionals, but, I think they're probably capable of drawing something better.
Yeah. I think our standards of what we expect is pretty high.
It was just sort of one of those sign of the times things. Like, it was very much part of the 90s. Like, you had the Rob Liefeld sort of tight, muscly extra lines, and then you have this sort of, you ever hit your Battle Chasers?
No.
Or like Witchblade?
Yes.
Those sorts of, like, where big giant boobs, tiny waists, and like cartoony hands. And like, it works for Spider-Man, but other characters doesn't really stick as much. I don't think we'll be seeing... Ka-Zar could be another one of those ones caught in the crossfires, like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Is he an X-Man character? Is he just a Marvel character?
Maybe he'll get tied into Black Panther because they'll talk about the Savage Land vibranium versus the Wakanda vibranium.
Oh my God, yes. And then we can get Ka-Zar TV series. Black Knight TV series.
Zabu TV series.
Dr. Druid. So in closing, I will remind you to follow us on Twitter at The Slim James or at giant_size, theslimjames.com, giantsizecomicthings.com. The WIP What If podcast is on iTunes, on Stitcher, on YouTube, and on Vimeo. So go out there and find us. And remember, don't spend the rest of your life asking, what if?